Z650 project. And today I've been to see Jeff, where he gave me a couple of things I've been waiting for the last few days. And the first of those are these two things here. And these are the stainless steel spacers I need to hopefully fit the swing arm into the frame. Now, we did make them on my instruction maybe half a mil or a mil wider than I thought they should be, just in case my measurements weren't too accurate. That way, if they're a little bit too big, we can always take them back and skim them and get them just right. Because obviously the problem is that Jeff's workshop is far side of town, the bike's here, and we can't move either. So it's a question of taking your time, making them the best you can, and then tweaking them to get them just right. The other thing he's done for me is he's going to start on the bracket here for the instrument pod, which you probably can't see, so we'll zoom in and just look at this next. And so here we have the unfinished bracket which will hold the speedo and tacho in place. So it's been drilled already to use the mounts for the bar risers, that's fine. And we've already given it a slight bend to tilt up the tacho and speedo. And looking at this now, I think this needs to be bent a bit more, maybe about 10 degrees more, and then it should be fine. We also need to put a big arc here, just machine out this gap, because we need that space for the top nut of the yokes. And then we need to drill the holes to mount this thing, that's fine. And in fact, looking at this, it needs to be quite high up, because we need to have enough gap to allow all the wires to go down between the speedo and the top yoke. So that's okay. Once we've done that, we can then shape it, make it look pretty, and of course I'll get it finished in satin black. So yeah, pretty happy with that so far, no great mistakes. I've just got to work out where to drill it. I can take it back to Jeff, and then we can finish off the machining and shaping of it on his miller. Oh, and the reason why I've not yet fitted the bars is because I'm doing some work on them right now. So let's go and catch up what's been happening with the handlebars. And so moving on to the bars then, what I've been doing is drilling them. I've fitted the grips just temporarily to work out where the hole should go. There's the throttle here, look, so let's put that away. These are rental grips. What I've done is I've drilled 3 holes in the bars, one here, and a slightly larger one here underneath in the centre. And that's so I can thread the wiring of these Moto-Gadget switches through the handlebars and out through this central hole. I made a start, I've drilled them, I've threaded them through, and now one end of the wire is right underneath there. It's just sort of peeping out inside the handlebar. So I've got to find something to fish it out with. And having done that job before, I know the perfect tool is a bent paper clip, which I've got to find. I don't think I've got one in here, so I have to go in the house and grab one. Then I can just hook it out and then do the next one. That way I can fit these switches permanently on the handlebars, and it's one more job done. So let me go and get a paper clip and we'll come back and carry on. And now I'm back from the house armed with my bent paper clip that worked very well. I could hook out this wire. So now all I've got to do is feed it through the bar very slowly and carefully. Don't snag anything, don't want to cut the wire or anything like that. So here we go. And in fact the wire's quite long, it's got to be long enough to reach all the way back under the seat to where the M unit is installed. So obviously they give you an awful lot more wire than you need, which is fine. So we'll carry on doing this, and then when we've done that we can bolt up this first switch to the bar, where hopefully it'll stay forever, because I don't want to be doing this ever again. And now here are those switches, fully mounted on the bars, all the wiring's ready to go, but I can't fit it just yet to the bike because the yokes still need a lot more work, along with the mount for the speedo and tacho, of course. Oh, and by the way, the throttle housing here is a spare one from my Pussy project, and it won't be making the final build because it's far too shiny. I want to get a black one to match the black finish elsewhere on the bike, so that can go back on the shelf for the time being. Right, so that's done then. Let's see what's next. And so, next up is for me to crawl around on the floor for a while and see if we can get this swing arm fitted to the frame using these new stainless steel spacers that Jeff's machined up for me. And this one here you can see is being machined out on its inner side, so that hopefully it just fits over there like that. Look at that, spot on. Pretty happy with that. And this one's a bit different because it needs to go into the swing arm to meet the bearing on the inner face, so that's got to go on that side. Yeah, that's not bad, is it? It's a bit loose, but we'll live with that, because obviously the spindle will go through and it will hold it in place. But yeah, so far so good. And in fact over here, look, I've got this second hand and rather battered chain guard to protect the swing arm from the chain. In fact, I think I'll buy a new one because that's a bit far gone, that one. But in theory, now I've extended this, then hopefully, if I can work out how it works, yeah, something like that, this may well fit on here now, be more secure. How's that? Oh yeah, that's better, isn't it? It goes on very tight, but as I say, I won't fit that because it's seen better days, but I'll certainly try and find a new one before I fit it for the final time. So yeah, we'll get rid of that. We'll pop him back on there. It's quite a nice fit, that actually, it's quite good. So now, let's see if we can... Okay, so it's not taking very long for me to realise that these spaces are far too thick. Obviously we erred on the side of caution when we did it, but perhaps too far. I mean, this is probably, let me just check, I don't know, maybe 5mm altogether out, which means I've got to take off 2.5mm there and 2.5mm there. And so tomorrow I'll go and see Jeff in his workshop and we'll do some more machining on these spaces. I'll bring them back and we'll try again. And it's quite possible they still won't be right, and that's okay. We'll just keep on machining them until they're spot on the bike. And now here we are, it's the next day and I'm just back from a quick visit to see Jeff, where we machined down the swing arm spaces by about 2mm. Brought it back, tried it on the bike, and we're not quite there yet. We're maybe 0.5mm away from getting the swing arm in the frame for the first time. So I've got to go back tomorrow and just take off, as Jeff would say, a gnat's whisker from those spaces, and then hopefully the swing arm can be fitted to the frame for the first time. Anyway, so that's that. But while I was there, I also collected the bracket for the speedo, and I've also been busy at the front end of the bike. So let's see how that looks right now. And so here we have the bracket for the speedo, now all finished and shaped. Just there's a bit more work to cut off these edges where we stick out from the bottom of the yoke, but apart from that, it's yeah, it's pretty good. I've then of course got to get it painted black because everything around it is black. And you might also notice I've finally got the forks and the front wheel in place. And so I finally get to see how the front end looks all finished, with the yokes black, the fork sliders black, tacho in place and so on, the four pots in place. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. I still need to buy some new fasteners, of course, because these old bolts won't be going on the bike. I've got some new ones arriving from ProBolt tomorrow, so they can go on. So yeah, it's pretty happy with that so far. Now you might mention, climb back up again, you might have noticed that these forks are sticking up through the yokes by too much. And that's because that's the most I can get the forks on the yokes with the bike being so low. Because right now I'm struggling to get the bike a bit higher on my own. It was a real struggle actually to get these in place, never mind getting them fitted just right. Yeah, so I need to lift up the whole bike slowly and very carefully, because when I was doing this it did have a few moments where I thought the bike might topple over. So it's not something I want to do. I don't want this thing crashing against that bike or this bike behind me or even the wall. That would not be a good thing. So I managed to get some more wood underneath it, and I've got a jack underneath it, but as I lift it up it starts to become a little bit unstable. So I think I'll wait until I get some help before then get these forks positioned just right. There might also be a problem actually with these fork tops, and let me show you why. And that problem could be that when these fork legs are lowered back down to where it should be, these parts here, which are the preload adjusters, could get in the way of me fitting the handlebars. You can see how close they are. Not sure yet, it's going to be damn close either way, but the answer to that is that these forks are from a 2002 R6, and an R6 is an awful lot lighter than this old thing here, despite my best efforts to lose weight. And so I suspect I'll have to wind down these adjusters to adjust for the difference in weight between an R6 and this old thing here. So it might not be a problem at the end of the day. And if it is, well, I'm sure we can find a solution somehow. And so there's a quick update on progress so far. And tomorrow I'll go back to Jeff's workshop, where we will machine those damn spaces one more time, bring it back, and hopefully at last we can fit the swing arm to the frame for the first and last time. So fingers crossed, by the end of tomorrow this bike will be on its wheels for the first time, but we'll see, we'll see. And now here we are, it's the next day. I should say the next night, because it's now gone 10 PM. It's been quite a long day. I've struggled to get this damn bike back together, but we got there in the end. We got the swing arm spaces right, got the swing arm in, got the wheel in, got the shocks on. So now at last it's actually a roll. I could get it off the lift and it'll roll around, thank God. There's still a few things to do because I don't yet have the correct size rear sprocket or front sprocket for the chain. A few little nuts and bolts I need, obviously, which I don't have. The seat is still away with Anthony, the upholsterer, but fingers crossed he should have it done by next week. He promised me that, so we'll see, we'll see. And yeah, so overall, pretty happy with that. I do have a slight problem at the front end, which I kind of expected, so let's look at that right now. I've removed the speedo and its new bracket, and I've refitted the bars and the risers. And sure enough, just as I was concerned about, these forks now interfere with the correct position of the bars. I can't quite tilt them forward any more than they are at the moment, which isn't quite right. The good news is that this here bracket for the speedo is a 3mm thick, so hopefully when this sits below the risers, that'll lift it up just enough so I can get these tilted just right. And if not, then we can always drop these forks down a wee bit because they're still about, I don't know, 3 or 4mm out of the yoke, so hopefully that will turn out okay in the end. And so it's a great relief to finally see the bike on its wheels at last, and it's been quite a struggle with all the hassles of getting the back end in, but we've done it now, we've done it, thank God, and that should make my life a lot easier going forward because I can now wheel it around and access the bike a lot easier. So anyway, it's getting quite late now, it's almost 10:30, so we'll leave it here for now. So thanks for watching and cheers.